Hey everyone, Jordan Hetrick here. I'm the best-selling author of books about how to use action cameras, including the DJI Osmo Action 4. I know a lot of you are new to the Action 4, and that's why I thought it'd be helpful to make a video for you to show you some of my favorite beginner tips. Just things to help you acquaint yourself with the camera and get better photos and videos straight out of the camera. Because this video is for beginners, I'm going to take it a little bit slow, but if you are looking for a step-by-step guide to help you get started with your camera through all the different stages, you can check out my beginner's guide for the Action 4, and I'll put a link in the video description below. It's a great video and I think you'll enjoy it. But now let me show you some of my favorite tips for the DJI Osmo Action 4. The first question I want to talk about is which microSD card to use. Now I know this is very basic, but it actually really affects how your camera is going to function. If you choose a microSD card that's not compatible with the Action 4, the SD card won't be able to keep up and your camera might freeze up. So the camera has no internal storage, and as you know, if you've set your camera up, it just goes in this little slot right here on the camera, and that's going to store all your photos and videos. Now as far as what size microSD card you should use, that's really up to you. I like to use a card that's typically around 256 gigabytes because I feel like it's got enough storage that I can go out and film as much as I want to, but also it doesn't have so much that if I lose the camera and lose all those videos and photos that are on it, I'm not going to lose a whole month worth of videos, for example. So you can use a card up to 512 gigabytes, but I feel like 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes is really sufficient and has a lot of storage to store your videos. So instead of going into all the specs about which microSD card to use, it can be a little confusing when you're looking online trying to compare them all. I'll just put some links in the video description below to some SD cards that I use with the Action 4, and I know they work well, so you can use them too. For the next beginner tip, I thought it'd be helpful just to show you around the camera a little bit to help you get acquainted and familiarize yourself with the camera. Now, it's pretty simple. There's two different doors on it. There's this big one on the side here, and you just push down this little button and slide up, and it's pretty hard to open. It's one of the things I don't like about this camera, but you push down, slide it up, and it opens this way. I do like how it opens up because you can have your camera mounted and still open that door usually. But inside of there is the battery and microSD card. And then on this side, in this little door, it's just a USB port. So if you want to charge your camera or transfer your files using a cable, you can just use that USB-C port right there. On the side of the camera is a power and quick switch button. Use that to power on your camera, hold it down to turn your camera off. You can also press that to switch between different modes that you can preset here in the camera. And also when we talk about the screens, I'll show you a little trick using that button to allow you to switch screens. On the front of the camera here is a lens cover. Now you can see here, this one's solid. So this is a glass lens cover. So you want to make sure that always stays nice and clean. Try not to touch it like I am now. If you do, just buff it off with a soft cloth to make sure there's no fingerprints or grease on there, because that's really your camera's view of the world. DJI also gives you one that doesn't have the glass in it, but when you use that, your camera's not going to be waterproof. You can take the lens cover off just by unscrewing it. You got to squeeze kind of tight. If you've got it on there tight, it's kind of hard to get off. Just unscrew it counterclockwise. And there you've got the lens exposed just like that. You can see there's a little red gasket around there. That's what keeps the water out of the lens. When you screw it back on, just make sure you screw it on really tightly. And on the bottom here, you have these little clasps which are used for the quick mount adapter, which I'm going to show you. And there's also a built-in magnet, which I'll show you that too when I give you some mounting tips. On the top of the camera here is the shutter button. That's what you use to start and stop recording or to take photos. It's a little hard to push on the Action 4. Feels like it doesn't really go down that much, but you'll know when you start recording. The next beginner tip that I have for you guys is a question that I get asked a lot. And is this camera waterproof, and how waterproof is it? So the DJI Osmo Action 4 is waterproof to 18 meters, just like this. So the camera is waterproof under a couple conditions. You want to make sure that this door on the side and this door is completely closed so that no water gets in there. If you go out in the water and those are open, water will go in there and ruin your camera. Also, DJI recommends keeping this solid glass lens cover on there. Always make sure that solid glass lens cover is in front of the lens when you go in the water and screwed on tightly. So as long as you do those three things, your camera is ready to go in the water. It's waterproof down to 18 meters, which is deeper than most of us are going to go. If you're a scuba diver or a free diver, DJI makes this case here. It's a protective housing, and that'll allow you to go down to 60 meters deep, which is really deep. But yes, you can take the DJI Osmo Action 4 in the water just like this. It doesn't float, so make sure you've got it on a floaty handle. But besides that, it's ready to go. Also, if you like what you're seeing so far, please give this video a like. It'll really help other people find this video who are also getting started with their Action 4. The next tip that I want to give you guys is about the Action 4 batteries. And these action cameras typically haven't had very good batteries. Now, the Action 4 has an improved battery life. You can film up to 160 minutes if you're recording in 1080 at 24 frames per second. Of course, it's going to be less recording time, but you still get a lot of recording time even if you're recording in that 4K video resolution. One of my favorite features about the Action 4 batteries are the quick charging capabilities. So you can plug your camera into a 30-watt charger. DJI has one, or you can just buy one on Amazon. And those 30-watt chargers will charge the Action 4 battery up to 80% full in just 18 minutes. So it's really quick to just recharge those batteries, and you can always have a fresh battery to get out there and keep filming. But really my favorite thing to do is to get this multi-function battery case. You can charge up to 3 batteries at once. And it's got these convenient little lights here. It just turns green when the battery's charged. So you know your battery's ready, you can pull it out, put in another one, plug it in and recharge it. And this is a great way to just have batteries always on backup, so you can just continue recording. As soon as that battery runs out, swap it out with a new one and get back out there and start filming. Another one of the cool features about this multi-function battery case is you can actually plug in a USB cable and charge another device using the battery power from the batteries that are in here, as long as those are charged. This multi-function case comes in the Adventure combo, or you can just buy it separately, but it's a great accessory to have, so I always feel like I just always have batteries for the Action 4. For the next tip, let's power on your camera, and I want to show you something about the touchscreens that's pretty cool. So just press the power button here on the side of the camera, and your camera will power on. So there's 2 touchscreens on this camera, which can be really convenient because you can adjust the settings on either of these screens. However, at times that can also be kind of inconvenient, so I want to give you guys some tips on how to avoid that inconvenience and show you what I mean. If you're recording in a low frame rate, such as 30 frames per second, which is not for slow motion, then when you start recording, you can see through both of the screens. They'll both stay active. However, when you switch the frame rate up to a slow motion frame rate, such as 60 or 120 frames per second in 4K, both of those screens will not actually show what they're filming once you start recording. So right now I'm recording in 4K 60. You can see on the screen here, this is visible. But on the front screen, now it just says this is not visible because it's in the high resolution frame rate. Because there's only a single screen that you can preview your videos through, it's nice to be able to switch easily between the 2 screens. And it gets a little bit confusing if you're not sure which screen you're on. To switch on the screens, normally you just tap on the screen, then you swipe up, and now that's going to be the active screen, and this screen gets locked. See, if you touch it there, that screen's now locked. Sometimes that can be a little inconvenient when you're in the water, or if you have gloves on, if you're skiing or snowboarding, for example. So I'll show you a little trick on a different way that you can switch screens. I'm going to make it so just one of the screens is active, and you can actually change the screens by pressing this quick switch button here. So first, just swipe down from the top of the screen to go into the settings here. And then tap on the setting icon there. And you can tap on the second one down. If you tap there where it says single screen preview and make it so it turns green, now when one of the screens is locked, that screen's actually going to turn off. That way you'll easily know which screen you're on. Next, go back to the main dashboard and tap on the QS, which is the quick switch settings. And where it says screen switch, just tap that so that you see a check mark there. That's going to enable you to switch screens just by using this quick switch button. I'm going to exit out of that menu, swipe up to go back into the recording screen. Now you'll see that this screen right now is active. Now that we've got a single screen previewing and the screen switch up, you can just press on the quick switch button there. You'll hear it say screen switch, and it's going to switch to the other screen. Then you can switch it back. Now you can switch your screens easily by using that quick switch button. Also, you can't do the screen switch using the quick switch button while you're recording. It has to be in between recording videos. The next tip I have for all of you DJI Action 4 beginners is about this quick release mount and mounting your Action 4. This is one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I cover a lot in my book. But right now I just want to talk about this cool little quick release. So DJI created this where you've got a little magnetic area on the bottom of the camera. There's these 2 clasps here. And you can just mount it quickly on this quick release mount by just attaching it and making sure that both of those little clips go in there and attach to your camera. Then it locks into place, and it's super secure. So a lot of people have asked how secure this really is, and it's actually very, very secure. It's really hard to accidentally knock both of these at once, and if that happened, then your camera could come loose. But besides that, even if you knock just one of them, you can loosen your camera. It's still holding on there, and you've got the magnetic part that's trying to like hold it back. So I would say this is very secure. I take it out in the water just like this, and I don't think I could ever bump it accidentally. This quick release mount is really convenient to switch between mounts. So you just squeeze it, pull it off, and then you can take your next mount and just make sure the DJI logo is on the front of it, and that matches the front of the camera. Just put it on there. Make sure both of those click into place and your mount is secure. Now it's on a floaty handle and you're ready to go. It's a lot easier than having to unscrew like with the GoPro, where you have to unscrew each mount and change it every time. So this quick release mount also unscrews, So you can change it between different mounts. It's compatible with all the different GoPro accessories. It's got this same two-prong style mounting that goes into a GoPro style mount. So all of the different accessories that you have, if you have a big collection of GoPro accessories, for example, this is compatible with it. But now you've got that quick release feature, which is really convenient. And if you get a couple of these quick adapters, it's just so easy to put one on all your different mounts. Then you can just switch so easily between different mounts and not have to unscrew anything. So I really like that feature of the Action 4. Also, because there is a magnet on the bottom of the Action 4, you can just mount your camera like on the side of a fridge, for example, and just get a stagnant shot just like that. You don't want to use that for action sports or anything because the magnet's not super strong and it's not really intended to hold in extreme situations. But you can definitely stick that up for some convenient little just extra shots, some B-roll, some kind of cool shots that you can get out there when you're looking for something cinematic or unique. That magnet will come in really handy for you. Mounting is a really exciting part of using these little action cameras because first of all, they're just such high quality video, and then you can capture such really cool, unique angles. I'm really passionate about helping you guys create the best photos and videos possible because I just love photography myself and I love to share that passion. The book for the Action 4 is just a great reference to have on hand so you can have all the settings, all the mounting ideas, everything you need in one spot. Anytime you want a fresh idea or to learn something new, you can just go grab the book, get out there and have fun with it. Also, while we're talking about the Action 4 accessories, I had someone ask in one of the comments if you can use this extendable pole in the water. And I actually use it in the water all the time, but you just want to make sure that you rinse it off with fresh water if you're using it in salt water. And also, if you go in a sandy environment, make sure there's no sand on the extensions here, because when you close it, if that sand gets in between these, it can clog it up and basically your pole will not close. And I've had that happen with a few different poles. So I'm really careful with it now. Anytime I go in the surf, I just make sure that it's rinsed off and there's no sand that's going to get caught in these little extensions and ruin my pole. Next, if you're just starting out with your Action 4 and you haven't really figured out any of your video settings yet, I thought I could just give you a video setting that you could use to get out there and start recording. And this would be really handy, especially if you're filming shots of yourself or vlog shots, for example. This is just a great overall setting to start with. I'll put it in the little box right here and you can just basically copy those settings. When you turn your camera on, it should turn on into video mode. If not, you can just swipe here. For this one, just choose video mode. Then you can just tap down here. This tells you the video resolution and frame rate and also the stabilization options. You can just go tap on that and it's going to go into the dialog for your video settings. So you just go ahead and start out with 4K 16:9 at 60 frames per second. And that'll give you the option to record slow motion when you want to. In the top corner here where it says RS, or it might have one of the other options, just tap on that. That's your stabilization setting. And for now, I'm just going to go with rock steady. That's just the in-camera stabilization. It's the minimum level of stabilization, but it's still really good on the Action 4. If you do want horizon balancing, you can go over to the horizon balancing setting, and that's going to level out your horizon as you record. But for now, you can just start out with rock steady. The other setting options are under this little icon right here. For now, we'll just leave all those settings to auto since you're a beginner, but as you get more experienced, you'll probably want to change those to fine-tune your image quality. So a lot of you probably bought this camera knowing that it's got great low light settings, and that's very true. The Action 4 does a great job in low light, especially for an action camera. It's got a larger sensor, and that just is able to handle those low light situations better than any other action camera so far. Now I just want to give you a couple of quick tips if you are recording in low light situations, such as in the evening or the early morning, just to help you get better shots. One of the questions that a lot of people have had is actually over here in these settings. There's another setting over here called low light image enhancement, and a lot of people have asked me why that setting is grayed out. And that's because when you record in low light scenes, you want to record at a lower frame rate. So you can record at 30 or 24 frames per second when you're recording those low light scenes. And you're not going to be able to play your videos back in slow motion, but it's going to allow your camera to take in more light so you can record those low light scenes. When you switch that frame rate down to 30 frames per second or below, using this main option right here that I showed you before, then that low light image enhancement feature will become available. You also have to make sure that you're using rock steady stabilization because it's not available with rock steady plus or horizon balancing. When you have the low light image enhancement turned on, that's just going to help improve the quality of your low light shots. In my book, I created a preset you can use just when you want to record those low light shots, so you don't have to change your settings back and forth every time you go from slow motion action, for example, into your low light settings to make sure you get that low light image enhancement. If you've already been filming a lot with your Action 4 in low light, I would love to hear your comments down below. Just let me know what your experiences have been with the Action 4 in low light since this is kind of a relatively new feature for action cameras. I think it'll be really helpful for everyone who's watching this video. Another quick vlogging tip is that if you want to get really good audio with your Action 4, the Action 4 is compatible with the DJI mic. Now this is a wireless mic. You can plug the receiver into the Action 4 and you put the transmitter on your chest like a lav mic. You're gonna get some great audio that way. And that way you can move around and your audio is gonna stay consistent with your camera, even though you can be a different distance away from your camera. That's really a great tip for all of you vloggers, even if you're just starting out with an action camera like the Action 4, because getting great audio is very important for those vlogs. The next tip that I want to give you guys is to not forget to use the DJI Mimo app. This is DJI's app that can be used with the Action 4, and it can be used to transfer your photos and videos over to your phone or your tablet. If you are an Android user, you'll have to go download it through DJI's website because it's not on the Android store, but for iOS users, it's in the App Store there. When you set your camera up, you already connected it to the DJI Mimo app. If you haven't set your camera up yet, be sure to go check out my beginner's guide for the Action 4, where I take you step by step on how to get started with the Action 4 camera and show you a bunch of useful tips. I'll put a link for that video right here. But for those of you who have already set up your camera, all you need to do to reconnect to the app is to just power your camera on. Once your camera has powered on, if you don't see a little prompt here saying it's found your camera, just tap on device and it's gonna start searching for your camera. It's gonna take you straight into the dialog for changing your settings and recording, where you can see through the lens on your Action 4. Obviously, you can use the app to see through your camera's lens and to record your photos and videos, but I just wanna show you some of the things you can do with the app after you've recorded. So you can tap on this little icon here to go to the media that's on your camera's microSD card, or you can also tap on this little home icon down here and then go into album. So then you can tap on the Osmo Action 4 and it's going to show the videos and photos that are on your camera's microSD card. I'm just going to tap on one of these and show you some of the tools that you can use in the Mimo app after you've recorded. Obviously you have the basics such as delete and also to download this video to your phone to save it into the app here. But I want to show you this icon right here, which is some different settings you can apply to your video. So just tap on this little icon here. So if you'd like to create a trimmed clip out of this original video, you can see this video is 5.5 minutes long, but say I just want to take a 30-second clip out of there. I can just use this trim tool to select which part of the clip I want to save and save that into the DJI Mimo app or share it with somebody. This filter tool here will allow you to use some color grading filters to just change the overall look of your video. And you can also affect the intensity of how much it's applied there. The dashboard is if you use GPS, which needs to be used with that remote. But two of the really cool tools that I want to show you over here that I don't want you to forget about are called Vivid Underwater. So if you recorded underwater footage, this is going to make the colors really pop for those underwater scenes specifically. And once you apply this, then you can export and save that video with those changes. The other really cool tool here is called Invisistick. And if you recorded a video with your Action 4 mounted on the end of DJI's extendable pole, their 1.5 meter extendable pole, then you can actually remove that pole from the shots using this tool here. Since it takes a little while for the Invisistick shots to process, I do recommend trimming your shots first to just the areas where you want to get that Invisistick pole out of there. Then tap checkmark and go over to the Invisistick tool. You can choose your settings. If you want to cloud process, you can go up to 1080p, but if you want to just do it right here in the app, then you can go down to 720p and that will create those videos straight here in the app. But I'm going to do the cloud processing to get the highest resolution possible, which is 1080p. Then I'm going to click export. It's going to go through the cloud to process that, erase the stick out of the shot and deliver it back to my phone. If you are shooting shots for the Invisistick, I recommend extending that pole all the way out, and that'll just give you the best processing when you go to edit these. Once it's finished processing, you can just watch it right here, and you'll see the stick is gone out of the shot. So it's going to save that video into your phone's photo library. You can still see a little bit of the pole there, but this is a really tricky shot to work with because the pole was half underwater and half above the water. I hope all of those beginner tips were really helpful for you guys. Like I said, if you're just getting started out, my book is a valuable resource, so definitely check out the link for that in the video description below. And have fun out there filming. It's all about having a good time and getting some great footage. Until next time, talk soon.